wanted to respond for a minute to some of the comments made earlier by Senator Cohen about his bill, and he wanted us to remind us that we need to make sure that we talk about these things in a context, and I think that is correct. We need to talk about this in terms of context. And a couple of points. One of the things that he mentioned was that what changed and why we are no longer, when we started here, talking about how important it is to find ways to stimulate the economy and to grow jobs, and how that had been the focus of things we were doing in this legislature. And that all changed last Wednesday. That all changed. And now we're not talking about jobs. I guess we're talking about how to get rid of jobs, but somehow that was the context that we were supposed to be reminding ourselves to be in. And he talked about how the things that the governor did that was so reprehensible and egregious and were finally declared by the Supreme Court to not pass constitutional muster, and that was the reason why we're here. And I just want to remind members, and this is from the opinion that the majority of the court passed down, and here's what they said, and I'll just read you a very brief quote. It says, although the competing interpretations advanced by the parties are each reasonable, the fact simply brings into focus the failure of the statutory language to clearly answer a couple of questions. So what the court said is not that the governor was outside the pale of civilization in his understanding of the statute. What they said was that the statute wasn't clear and both parties had reasonable interpretations of that. And so it doesn't seem to me to be unreasonable to say, well, we could, as a legislative body, simply adopt the solution that the governor did last year through unallotment, take the cuts and take the structure that we've lived with over the past year, adopt those things, take the shift as it's normally been done and as was proposed by the majority last year, and enact that, and then we'd be back right where we were prior to last Wednesday. But we don't want to do that. Somehow we want to find a way to bring back tax increases again to the legislature and say this is what we need to do. And I don't know, maybe you're hearing something differently, but people I talk to say we're not looking for tax cuts. They're looking for reductions in spending. And the reason for that, I think, is clear too. And we talk about context. You go back and look at the history of Minnesota's spending for the past 50 years. The biennial budget increases from 1960 have averaged 19% increases in spending every biennium for the past 50 years. Now that's a context for you. That's the context that we have lived with. And that may be the reason why we've got such pressure on our budget, is that we've been living with a regimen of spending, and that spending is not one-time spending. It is spending that puts in place programs that require continual maintenance to keep going forward. That's the problem. Similar to the discussion we had a couple of days ago about pensions and the obligations that we're taking on and the inability, the realistic ability for the economy to support those kinds of commitments, and it can't be done. And the solution isn't to go out and try to raise taxes on a few people on the theory that, as Willie Sutton said in answer to the question of why do you rob banks, he said because that's where the money is. And so we say we're going to raise taxes on these people because that's where the money is. That's a very, I think, interesting moral argument to be making. But the point is, and I'll just go back and look at some data that we had in a similar proposal on raising taxes, creating this highest income, a new high for income taxes that remind the people in this body and the people across the state who does pay the money. Who pays the money? And the clear fact is that the top earners in this state pay most of the money. Most of the dollars that come into the state coffers come from a very small percentage of taxpayers. Those wealthy taxpayers pay most of the money that we spend as a state. And if we drive out one of the top 1% earners, Senator Bach was saying earlier that 75% of this tax is going to fall on people making over $500,000 or whatever the number was, maybe they're in the top 1%, but if one of those earners leaves the state, and the taxes that that person would pay to the state would leave also, it would take 449 new households coming into the state who are earning $53,000 to $67,000 to replace the lost tax revenue from that one top earner leaving the state. And so we're saying here today that we're going to raise taxes on this very few number of people who have high incomes, who, as Senator Ortman pointed out, are the people that are the entrepreneurs that are creating the jobs and arguably have the mobility to move someplace else if they wished. And we're going to say we're going to raise the taxes on those people. And if one of them leaves, we're going to say we're going to create an opportunity for 450 other families to move to this state I don't know how they figured that to happen. I think we ought to go back to have the conversation about what we're doing to create opportunities, economic opportunities, and create jobs. Let's do that and ask the question, how does this bill create jobs in Minnesota? And the plain fact is, it doesn't. It drives them away.